Saw the headline yesterday, and it was from Bob Kravitz, and it says, "Was I wrong about Deflategate?" Question mark. 6 years later, it's still complicated. I go, wait a minute. What is going on here? We got to hit the Wayback Machine. We're still trying to figure out Deflategate. Longtime columnist for the Indianapolis Star, friend of the show, Bob Kravitz, senior staff writer for The Athletic. Bob, what the hell's going on here?
Well, I got a chance to see this documentary, 4 Games in Fall, and I found it very compelling. I found it very one-sided, but I found it very compelling, and I thought, over the years, I've had a chance to read more about Deflategate because I have no life. And it raised some questions in my mind that I did not have previously. Have I come over to the dark side? No. But it's certainly, if you like to think of yourself as a relatively open-minded person, there are certainly some pretty interesting elements to the documentary that make you think twice about it.
Okay, give me the biggest piece of information that you gleaned from this documentary that made you hit the pause and maybe have an epiphany on Deflategate.
Well, I think the history of Exponent. No, I think that, and that's of course the company that did all the research for the Wells Report, and their history of being a doubt science entity, being a science for hire. If you look at some of the people they've represented over the years, they've produced results that were the desired results for certain companies. And I found that very off-putting. I was aware of that at some level as it was going on, but 4, 5, 6 years later, it just struck me again as being very compelling.
Okay, take us back to that night. And you get ready to hit send. So the Colts just got roughed up by the Patriots. How do you get the information?
Well, first I went downstairs to the locker room and I did an hour-long post-game show, and I forgot my phone because that's the kind of thing I do. So I get back up to the press box, look at my phone, see a text from somebody saying, "Call me immediately." Call this person, get the information. I'm like, holy crap, what have I fallen into?
But what's the information?
The information is that the Patriots are being investigated for allegedly using deflated footballs. Okay. So it was 100% right. It was 100% right. So I spent the next, 45 minutes or so looking for either confirmation or denial. And I was able to get confirmation from someone I felt very strongly about as a source, and said, let's let it roll. Let's let it ride, and tweeted it out, and then all hell broke loose.
I have a real problem with it feels like there was somebody inside the NFL who was leaking bad information, slanted information throughout this process.
Well, I certainly think that, Mort, who I respect, more than just about anybody in our business, I think the NFL used him. I don't believe that he's used by the league. I feel like I was just given some information that was 100% accurate.
But why would they use Mort, though?
Because of his status. Because if you use Mort or Adam or whoever it might be, you get the most bang for your buck in that fashion, no?
Well, but I don't understand. It felt like we committed to this. Now we got to go to the mat and we got to bring Brady and the Patriots in here, instead of saying, hey, you know what? They may have done this. Or it felt like there was a less heavy-handed way of approaching this from the NFL, Bob.
I agree. And look, you look at the NFL and the way they've looked into various issues over the years, the Ray Rice fiasco. These guys, they're incompetent in many ways, and I thought that they handled this incompetently. I think the media, to some degree, got caught in the dragnet to some degree, and you could also make the argument that we allowed ourselves to get caught in that dragnet.
I never cared about the footballs, but I don't know why the NFL cared about the footballs. The Aaron Rodgers came on the show and said he overinflates the football. Like, I don't, I think this has happened for decades here. Why all of a sudden the Patriots?
Well, I think because they do have the priors, and I think Don Van Natta and Seth Wickersham wrote a really good piece for ESPN.com. I think it was about 2 years ago. That in many ways this was a makeup call for the way they handled Spygate, and that was Gate that they did not go to the mat. They took it easy on the Patriots for the most part, and so I think it was a makeup call to some degree. I think they're getting a lot of grief from a lot of other owners who feel like the Patriots play fast and loose with the rules. And I think this is how it came down.
Man, that's dangerous, though, Bob.
Of course it is.
It's so dangerous.
And what's really dangerous is that the NFLPA gave Goodell unilateral power to rule on disciplinary issues. Yeah. And so whether you think the science was flawed, whether you think the investigation was flawed, they used the media in myriad ways, the bottom line is Goodell, for right or wrong, has the freedom, has the right to make the call, make the judgment call there.
What do you think now about Deflategate?
I still, and this is more a feeling, it's not provable. I think something happened. Here's the deal. I look at the science from Exponent or another company or another scientist, and I think, well, that makes sense. And then I watch the guy from MIT, Dr. Leonard, and I think that makes sense. I don't know what classes you took at UD, but
none.
When I was at Indiana, I didn't take class. I mean, I took physics for poets. The Gay-Lussac law. What the hell do I know about that? So, when I read one Ivy League guy say they're guilty, I think that's probably the case. When I read another Ivy League guy who says that they are, I think, it's sort of beyond my comprehend is what I'm saying.
Yeah, they'd been doing this for years. This wasn't something new to beat the Colts. And other quarterbacks have told me privately that they've done this, that they should be able to do this, that this is one of those, well, that's the rule, and then we got you. And then, oh, you're lying to me. And then there's the deflator and all. I mean, it just felt like it careened out of control. It didn't need to. And the fact that you would try to do a makeup for Spygate, man, is that dangerous?
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. Crazy. Yeah, I mean, look, when I broke the story, I thought this will be a 2-week story. They'll go. Boy, was I wrong.
Do you wish you never sent that? Do you wish you'd never?
No, I'm absolutely glad that I did.
Okay,
because it was right, Dan. Whether they were guilty of it or not, what I wrote was that they are being investigated. That was 100% correct. Now, where I screwed up, and I made this point in my column the other day in The Athletic, was that I saw what Mort had written about 11 of 12 balls being 2 pounds per square inch underweight, and with it. And I'm not taking shots at Mort because he's a friend and I think he's great at what he does. But he got used in that situation. And the mistake I made was using that as a jumping off point to viscerally react through tweets saying, Belichick should have his head on a platter. That was a mistake by me. I got too far over my skis.
But this now the real story is, and is somebody going to do the real story on who is the person inside the NFL who was leaking this false information? Because that's what I want to know. That's at the crux of a lot of this, it feels like, Bob. I don't, the woman you spoke to who is part of the documentary, Julie Marin, she says the NFL deliberately lied about things, withheld information, and spent months digging into the construct to construct a narrative. To me, the fact that they could do this as arguably the most successful player in the league was pretty chilling.
Yeah.
That's the story. Like, they're doing this. They're eating their own. They're going after Brady.
No, I don't disagree with you. I'm not sure, that's something they're ever going to be. Certainly I'm not going to talk about the people that I spoke with. Certainly Mort's not. I think Mort has done a bit of a mea culpa on it. I'm not completely sure, but I think he has acknowledged that the information was not correct. So,
Did you ever speak to Brady?
I never have. I'd love to. I really would. I mean, I've got nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, they were investigating. I wrote that they were investigating. End of story.
Oh, this is one of those. It's attached to the Patriots, so it's going to live on forever. If it was the Bengals, nobody would care. But it was the Patriots. It's Tom Brady, and it'll live on. It'll be part of the legacy of every one of those key ingredients there.
It'll be on my epitaph, sadly.
I was wondering, how many lines in to your epitaph do they mention Deflategate with Bob Kravitz? First line?
Yeah, got to be. And I'm not happy about that necessarily. I like to think that, I've done 37 years of pretty solid work at some really good publications. So I would not like that to be the first line of the epitaph, but I'll take the second or third.
Yeah, but Keith Olbermann's going to be in the first line of my epitaph. How do you think I feel about that?
That's depressing.
No, we're forever intertwined, as you are with Deflategate.
Absolutely.
Bob, good to talk to you as always.
Good to talk to you, Dan. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. That's Bob Kravitz. Works for The Athletic. Indianapolis Star columnist for a long time.